Hello everyone, and today we're going to have a small video on comparing Evolution 3.0 and MODX 4.0. I know we don't have MODX 4, it will arrive in 4 years I think, because we don't have a MODX 4 even or 3. You will understand about this in the end of the video. We are hearing about MODX 3 and what's going to happen later on. We are happy because we can launch MODX 3. We have released this, and just wanted to tell you that the final alpha will be released next week. More information on MODX 3 and 4. That was something I learned in the conference in Minsk back in 2017, where I had a briefing on Evolution CMS 1.4, and we were not planning to release a version 2.0 and 3.0. But in 2 years we have managed to release the Evolution CMS 2.0 and 3.0, which are logical continuation of the version 2.0, and many of the things mentioned in MODX 2021. Now all those things they want to introduce in MODX 4, because they're not going to be represented in MODX 3, they're already represented in the nucleus of the CMS 30. We want to develop MODX Pro, which is the catalog of experts that are providing services on MODX. Well, special attention to marketing is the right step, because people start to forget about MODX, and the developers started to leave to another platforms, and therefore we can see that they want to gather all the developers in a single place, but the outflow of developers shall continue until there will be a technically interesting source code, as the developers would like to work with the new trends and new ideas, and they don't want to dig into the obsolete codes. So you need to develop the marketing and the source code as well in order to attract new developers. Now, what is the migration on the MODX? Is there a script for migration on MODX? I don't know. Well, the MODX had some troubles with migration from Evolution to MODX Revolution. It was a fairly difficult process, and from Revolution to MODX 3 it will be hard to migrate. We have tried to have a proper migration from 1.4. We had no troubles with migration before 1.4, so we can ensure proper migration until the version of 1.4 or 1.2, and we have a proper script to have a migration on the further updated versions. There is the script, you can take a look at that. The script for migration was necessary because we've conducted a lot of work in MODX Revolution. We have joined all the users so that there would be no separate users and managers. There would be a common users, and it would be more convenient to work with the user rights. And we've also included a number of parameters in order to widen the capabilities without adding additional tables. Is it a good idea to avoid builds and packages, or should we withdraw from the composure dependencies? Well, there are composure dependencies in the third version, but everything is set for the release of the third version. It doesn't mean there will be no new things added, but as of now, everything was set for the release. Well, the composer in 2021 is something that is absolutely integral. It all depends on the packages, and they allow to work very conveniently. The composer was created long ago, so you should really use that. And you can install that through Composer Evolution. You can install additional packages on that, and we've started that process in 2.0 and 3.0 Evolution, And now we have a repository of modems and extras for convenience in the installation. We have a lot of additional mods that could be installed through the composer, and the packages that we are collecting right now, they're not built-in packages. They're gathered as a package anywhere, and then you just install them following the logics in the Laravel 8. So basically we have all the capabilities in terms of installing, in terms of additional rotors, in terms of migration, templates, models. Everything could be set without any problem within the package and then installed in the Evo using the composer, depending on the type of composer you're using. Now, XGS in the MODX manager. And the question is exactly why can't you make that for the third version? Because we want to release the third version this year. And I think that's one of the first things that will appear in the version 4.0. Thanks to MODX Revolution, and we have decided to take another path. We've withdrawn from all the libraries, and now they have a native JS, which allows to increase the efficiency without any problems in terms of dependency. You can write the modules for Evolution at any JStreams, which would be further integrated into the system. It means that we are free to use any technologies. At the same time, there are no core framework that would support a single UN. So there are certain aspects in terms of the evolution that you need to counter in order to ensure that everything would be integral, but the mods is far more global, because the speed of the third and fourth version are much less. So there is also a problem with the documents for version 3 and 4. There are documents, but considering the objectives that we have, only the community of MODX can understand something about this, because the community of GGS, they are using a fresh version. There are another problem about MODX 4. In case of the failure of the GS, you would have to rewrite the whole modules, as they will not be able to operate since they are tied to access. Now, the question about the static elements in the MODX and whether they would be able to output something from the database. Is there a file-based elements? I know there were discussions earlier about this, but there are no changes to the third version. Anything else will be installed in the third version? That's fairly logical. Well, that's a good question. I believe the question is all about outputting the code base from the elements into the files, which would be an interesting feature, because I don't even understand how can you work with files in the database, because you are not able to work with Gate. You can try to come up with something unique, but that's not comfortable. If you have the files that and all the elements will originally be located in the files, then it will make it simpler, and we've came with this decision in 2.0, and now we are absolutely great in terms of doing the software that as we are doing right now. We're doing everything on one server and then installing everything on the other server, so we have far more technologies, and it's far more convenient if compared with the files located in the database. So I recommend, in terms of MODX 4, I recommend to do that in the form of the files, because this is the must-have feature. Are you going to upgrade the templates, or going to upgrade the engines, make it more advanced? Well, not definitely for 3.0. I wanted to see something like a twig, but I don't remember the right name for that. And again, the question about the parser. Alexander, from Alexander, he says that the parser is already obsolete, and there were previous commands from Brian saying that it would be good to update the parser. So here's the question to Joshua. What do you think about the parser? Well, MODX Pro provides a simple parcel. MODX allows to use any parser you want. For example, you can use the twig parser. You can take any foreign parser. You can use anything you want and then modify that. You can use the basic modcar. That's a good question. I'm well using definitely this parser. Even in MODX Revo, most of the Russian community is using Phenom, which is a good parser with the code in files. Everything is working pretty effectively. You can use the heritage because this is absolutely perfect, and this is exactly the reason for taking out or withdrawing from the basic parser. We've decided to use the blade parcel because the Laravel is using that as the basic parser. You can definitely use Phenom or Twig, but one thing is you're doing extra activities, but the other thing is when you're working from a single package. So you have to use the popular and functional parsers out of the box, so to say. Of course, there could be two parsers, and the Evolution CMS in fact is using a couple of parsers. You can use a standard parser of the MODX, or you can use the new blade parser, and thus creating templates in the files where you can use the heritage, the cycles, and all the rest of the bonuses of those parsers. So I believe that this is the feature that should be in the box, and I don't know why the core team is not willing to integrate that. Now, the question is about the custom database in MODX 3. Are there any changes? The custom database, they're already possible if you're using XPL and they have the modules and they have the databases. You can use them manually for MODX 3.0. Well, he said that custom database is not really a vital aspect, but in the Evolution 3.0 we've integrated the SQLs because we need to have a horizontal scalability of the database, and the SQL does not support that. In a standard version you would have to buy a license in order to do that. So we've modified our version in order to have it operating through the models, through SQLs. Now we're having a project we're going to implement on the VS, and we'll try to implement all of that on the basis of Aurora. And these are also very important, since if we need to do anything manually to write the connections to custom database manually, then why do we need to use MODX? Because we could use any system, any other system that could allow us to do that much simpler. So all the aspects related to the development of CMS, they should be based on two things. First of all is user friendliness, and second is the functionality. When the user would understand that he would have no problems with scalability, that would be perfect. Yes, we should prepare certain documents in order to prepare the people and developers and site builders uh, if they want to have a dynamic backing and how it operates in the Jquery. And I think we need to organize this. Well, we should think of the point that language has been developed. So whatever you had to do on Jquery, because it was absolutely necessary, now everything's changed. You can simply use the JAS and it works much faster. So you should go away from the Jquery if you want to have a fast and efficient website. And the question was like that: if the MODX 3 will be released from the repository officially, are you going to merge that? And the question is, yes, we're going to merge it because we're a single community and we're not willing to make any additional products. We are already using that. And I'm happy to support the Cirque in their efforts because they saw that the Monarchs is not doing anything in terms of the development of the Monarchs, and they're starting to do something on their own. Hopefully they will merge and they will continue as the single entity, because from our experience of working with Evolution, if we would stay in the frames of Monarchs, it would be much easier because there will be a larger community and we would supplement one another and we would be much stronger as a single brand. And based on the forks we saw, it's very hard for forks to survive, so it's logical to stay together, to merge and to make a perfect product together. Here we can see the Google Analytics and the detailed breakdown. You can click here and saw the information on the traffic, and here's some of the products on Revolution, and Seeing 3 will show you right now. Well, the dashboard from Sterk is absolutely perfect. It's dedicated for the users who will be using the admin panel. They'll be inputting analytics, and page 4.4, I think we'll be using the same for Evolution for having all the modules on 404 in terms of analytics, and they'll be set by default. And I like the idea, the authorization based on email will implement that as well. Currently it's not implemented. Now in the admin panel we have a number of bonuses. We have the real-time switch of the themes. Then we can have a sidebar to the left or to the right. This is something we've installed also long ago. We can install sidebars to the left or right. Can you see the screen, hopefully? Yes, we can see the screen. I think everyone saw the screen. The menu is pretty user-friendly. We have a search button. Something is not working right. I don't know what's happening. I think we need to clear the MODX cache. And also we have a user-friendly work for cell phones. There are no problems for operating that system through mobile phones. You can use search. You can absolutely have no problems with that. This is the document. We can edit this. We can have also templates. We can switch to mobile version, and this panel goes up because the cell phone has not enough space to demonstrate this sidebar. We've copied that to the variable for the templates. I'm going to show you how to cut the photo. We have two possible cutting options, and in the past when you were downloading the page on a large screen, it looks okay, but if you'll open the same page on the cell phone, then the cutting is not saved In the evolution, we also have a component that allows to make custom content blocks in order to install different content. So that is a kind of a content construct. So it's not like in Frat where we can see that visually, but it allows a lot of different functions. You can provide different content and different format of content for different devices. For example, we can make 3, 4, or 5 columns depending on the breakpoints we need, which is absolutely comfortable if we have a diversified content which may look good, but you want to make it even better for widescreens. A multifix allows to do that, and it also allows to work you with the layouts. You can use 2 or 3 columns and then add additional elements. The other convenient feature is that you can make a form builder. We've already implemented that, so we have an experience. So the client can set the fields that he wants to make in the form, and he can locate them using the bootstrap. The only thing that we are lacking is the option that Stir has demonstrated recently. They're uploading not a number of pages or images, but they want to upload several images, and we've wrote down this such a functionality, and we believe that we'll make that in the multi-fields. Now let's draw certain conclusions on our conversation. Particularly, I've introduced a number of commands on the conference that we had in 2021, so we can compare the Evolution, Revolution, and MODX 3 and 4 based on the functional capabilities that they offer. And everyone's listening to this news. Now, talking about the release date, the Evolution 3.1.2 is already available. You can use it. It's the stable version. MODX Revolution, it's also stable. MODX 3, we're expecting to receive a final alpha within a week. As for the release, hopefully by the end of the year it will happen. We're really waiting for that for 5 years or even 4 years. Anything to speak about the release terms for MODX 4? I think it's too early to say something, because nobody will start working on MODX 4 until the final release of the MODX 3. Basically, they simply don't have people to work on that, and they don't have time. Speaking on the database, the Evolution has special module for that, and we're planning to have Aurora attached. That is the relational database. The Reva and MODX 3, they will have SQL, because the rest of the database, they could be attached, but you would need to install the rest of the code. In MODX 4, you'd have a number of databases, but at the same level as available in Evolution. Then authorization and using the token, that is convenient, especially if we are using the frontal part of the STA and you would need the authorization. In this case, you can use the token. In Revo, this is something that is provided from the package. In MODX 3.0, hopefully that will be the same as well. As for the parser, the default parser in Evolution, they're having a default parser in Revo. We decided to cap that in order to have sustainability, so we can update the old websites to 3.0, and then the late also parser is available in the box. You can use that. In Revo, in MODX 3, they have MODX parser by default, and the core team is not willing to add any other parsers. In the same time, Russian community has been using the Phenom template maker. It provides the proper speed and convenience and other features that should be in the CMS. We're expecting MODX 4 to be available with the MODX template maker. And as Ryan mentioned, that tweak is very comfortable. It is available on PHP, on JavaScript, so that's very convenient. Working with databases in Ever, there is an account on Laravel, so that is the component as part of the Laravel, which is very convenient because we can use not only its capabilities but the documents they are available with regards to the locum, which is working in Avo, so we can use the database and the documents that are already available in the database in the internet. So in this case, the less the community, the less is the information. But we understand that MODX and the community of that should still have time to grow. That's why we've used the Laravel components, because we don't have more users. MODX 4, we're expecting to have a modern REM that could be used without properly understanding the MODX 4. The MODX Revolution and the MODX Ravo, since it appeared, we understood that after a certain period of time, we understood that FGS is not the right way for us, and that's why you won't find it. In MODX 4, you won't have that, because that's not necessary. Speaking on EDE and Git, well, the Evolution supports that. We have not installed anything additionally. We can work in IDE, we can work in the codes, with the codes in the files, and then upload that into the Git. In the MODX Revo and the MODX 3, this is supported with the use of the static elements, but this is very inconvenient because if you want to make any document, you would need to introduce the changes into the database, and which is not very convenient and comfortable. At the same time, there are additional components which can simplify this work, and in MODX 4 we would like to have that all in the box. Speaking about the migrations, the situation is as follows. In Revo it's available, and they have separate migrations for installing the update for the rest of the content, so we can update through the console, and the whole installation could be done as well. And just recently we've sent messages to different hosting companies for them to add the Avo in their install packages. So many hostings have that as well. Revo has no migration. In MODX 3, no migration. We hope there would be in MODX 4. There were questions regarding whether the components could be installed through Composer. In the Evolution we have done this system, so you can install everything. It's already working, although there is not too many of those mod-ons that could be working with the Composer, but if the functionality like that will arrive in MODX 4, there will be the same situation. There will be not too many components that could be installed through Composer, because you would need to adapt that, and that is a lot of work to do. In MODX Revo, in the MODX 3, it's not available. Now, speaking about the marketplace, that is the catalog of add-ons for buying or something like that. In MODX, there is only a free software. There is no functional additions for payment. In MODX 3, there are certain add-ons for free by default, and also there are certain payable add-ons. Now, cloud hosting in the MODX has nothing like that, and the same situation for updating the testing or things like that. This is something not available. In MODX, this is available. Now, also would like to talk about the further development of the evolution in MODX, and considering what is happening, I understand that from the point of marketing, MODX is still uh, is still available because this is a big brand, and even it was not developing for a certain period of time, still people know about this, people use this. Evolution has become more advanced from the technological standpoint, although they don't have resources to support the marketing. That is why the system is much more interesting, but in the same time it's less popular. I believe it would be a great solution to join the efforts under MODX DAX because they were planning to do that, but hopefully it will be absolutely different from Evolution and MODX because you can leave the best features in both systems, the tree of documents, the TVs, and other global things, but there has to be a global rewriting of the concept and approaches because the world is changing. The world press is becoming more and more popular. The Laravel is approaching the CMS, and there are other aspects, there are other services. Everything is happening very rapidly, so you need to operate as fast as possible in order to have a proper rating. And what we've heard in 2021 that MODX got certain position. Yes, it's the seventh in the rating, but the percent is fairly small, so it has only a small share of the market. Of course, it would be greater to have more market for the MODX and for the Evolution, and from my understanding, we can do that in order to, uh, well, by providing proper quality, and this could be done only through a dialogue, and we can move ahead.